Murder on the Oregon Trail. Everyone's suspect. Who did it? Will the killer strike again? Find out on Murderer's Trail.
Stay back, citizens! There's been a murder most foul! How I see, you're that group the captain's got hunting us down, eh? I had you pegged the minute I saw you. Detective's intuition, as it were. I could use an assistant on this case. Very well. If you help me track down the killer, I'll return to the captain as soon as I'm able. Excellent. With your help, I'll have this case solved in no time at all. Compile a list of clues, suspects, and pieces of evidence. Simply tell me what you wish to inspect, or let me know what you're ready to make an accusation. I will assemble all the evidence I can find. Let me know if you want to take a closer look. Body of a middle-aged man lies face down in the mud. His fatal wound clearly visible in the center of his back. The body has sunk deeply in the mud, suggesting that it's been lying there for some time. Several boot prints are scattered about in the mud. Only one distinct set stands out of average size. The man's clothes are intact, except for some stains from the rain and scattered mud. There are no injuries anywhere other than the fatal one on his back. It's unlikely that he fought against his attacker. Nothing else about the crime scene stands out. We're doing a little investigating here. I estimate the time of death to be about 8:30 last night, caused by a single clean stab wound to the back. Footprints make for a difficult clue. Unfortunately, the only footprints that are visible are those made after the rain had started. Let's look at murder weapon. Elias was killed with a single thrust from this knife. Of that much I'm certain. It's a standard hunting blade that can be found anywhere, with one distinct feature. It's been accustomed to have a left-handed grip. That's our biggest clue. As I said, the knife is otherwise unremarkable. Alright, Elias, left-handed. Let's look at the suspects. Feel free to speak to the suspects directly. Keep an ear out for mistruths, but remember that some will lie in habitually. Catching a lie doesn't mean you've caught the killer. Can I help you? I'm a reporter. Elias and I had only properly spoken to once, yesterday morning in fact. He told me he had news to share, but he had to procure evidence first. Frankly, I was, and remained, baffled. I don't know what news he was talking about, or what evidence he was attempting to produce. What? Let me think. I went to bed early, around 7. Perhaps I'd only arrived the morning before, so I was still tired. Certainly not in the mood to be wandering about, or conversing with anybody. Couldn't fall asleep for some time. I heard gunshots at one point, but it wasn't until after the rain had started that I managed to fall asleep. Okay. He's a tall, thin, well-dressed man. He seems bothered by the rain. His eyes are nervously darting around the gap. Alright. I don't think that's Quill Peabody. How about Gurney Goldman? Alright, Gurney Goldman. Let's examine you. Thin, stern-looking man. Golden pocket watch hangs out his waist. What's your alibi, buddy? I was relaxing in my wagon. That's what I'd be doing now if you weren't accusing me. At one time I heard gunshots. Went outside to see what the noise was and didn't see anything unusual. That was at exactly 8 by my watch, so I went back to nurturing my favorite hobby, being alone. Okay. I knew almost nothing about Elliot, or Elias, whatever his name was. We were companions of circumstance. I don't believe we ever even conversed. Okay. I don't think it was Gurney. It's like Fairfield. I hope you catch the killer soon. I'll do anything I can to help. Let's see. I was preparing dinner for us in the wagon when I glanced outside to see Elias talking to somebody. That would have been around about 7:30. He never came back. As soon as it started raining, I went out to check on him. This would have been about 9, and found him lying in the mud. Okay. Hope you catch the killer soon. I worked for the man. I was valet, chef, attendant, so forth. I resolved matters he hadn't the time nor stomach to solve for himself. Enormous, imposing man. He looks less like a servant and more like a bodyguard or soldier. He's well dressed and maintains a neat composure, in spite of the rain. Alright, I don't know who's him. How can I help? I saw Kellogg heading off with his guns at the ready, so I decided to follow him. That must have been around 8:30. Unfortunately, the rain made it hard to follow him, so I returned to camp. By the time I made it back here, Elias was dead. You asked me, it's no mystery who did the deed. Elias was the man who hired me to lead the caravan. He was a man with his demons, like any of us, but maintained his honor as long as I knew him. What happened to him is a damn shame. This is Marshall. Marshall is a sturdy, stout man with confident posture and grand, tidy beard. His clothes are immaculate. The only note of disorder is a large purple-blue bruise adorning his left hand. This is Kellogg. What do you want? I was out of the camp practicing my aim. No idea what time it was, but I wrapped up and came back to camp. On the way I passed by where Elias died. Though it was dark enough that I couldn't see anything, I did notice some fella scurrying off in a hurry, but I couldn't give you much more than that. My money's on whoever that was being the killer. Elias saw the fella around time and again, but I didn't care to know him, and he didn't care to know me. He wasn't wanting to get involved with shady folk like myself, so our paths hardly ever crossed. Not much else to say. Kellogg is a vicious-looking man, whose hands are never far from his holsters. It's evident that he spent plenty of time outside of civilization and outside the law. A large fresh bruise adorns the right side of his face. Okay. Wondering about the bruise? Well, I've got Marshall to thank for that one. Two of us ain't exactly friends, but hitting me was a first. Not quite sure why I done deserved that. You'll have to ask him. Saw all that, did you? Well, I'll make no excuses. I hit him. All right, you ask me, it's not even half of what he deserves for killing Elias. What do I think it was? Why do I think it was Kellogg? Not much for a detective work, are you? The shoe size fits those found by Elias' body. The blade used to kill the man was fitted with a left-handed grip. Kellogg was ambidextrous. He was also unaccounted for at the time of the murder. I'll make him pay for what he's doing. Mark my words. It's between Marshall and Kellogg at this point for me. Suspect. Tussle. Marshall Brennan. Only really a suspect by circumstance. Oh wait. But we should cover him in fairness to the rest. Marshall wrote his sample right-handed and has a fairly small shoe size. I must say that his handwriting was truly terrible, as bad as Kellogg's, if not worse. Don't tell him I said that, though. Marshall's the impromptu sheriff of this wagon train. He's the one that's been keeping the bandits at bay, though depending on who you ask, he's not doing the best job. Kellogg Harden isn't the kind of man you want watching your back or your front. If I'm honest, he's bad news. He's garnered some infamy around here. Never killed a man, as far as I know, but done all sorts of bad besides. He's our prime suspect for the thefts. He's also a long-term enemy of Marshall. The two have been at odds for years, as far as I can tell. Why are these people traveling? I don't understand. As to his physical appearance characteristics, the man claims to be ambidextrous. He wears average-sized boots, and though he was equally skilled with each hand, his handwriting sample is horrible. Not sure if he's just an ugly writer or if he's faking. I think it's Kellogg. Everyone present is part of a wagon train headed to Oregon. with the exception of Quill, who arrived only yesterday. The others have been together for the better part of a month now. Some have known each other longer, some less. Until now, there's been no infighting. Our victim is one Elias Thurs. He funded the expedition and was its de facto leader. He wasn't well loved, but as far as I can tell, he also didn't have any explicit enemies. For the most part, their journey seems to have been normal, except that they're being harassed by thieves a lot more than usual. These thefts have been targeted and efficient. It's likely that somebody on the inside has been helping them somehow. Know who it is, do you? Well, don't leave us in suspense. This is a serious accusation, so let's be thorough. We'll start with the method. Firstly, Quill is right-handed. It would be unusual for him to use a left-handed knife. Can you explain that? Evil twin. Not an unsurprising accusation, but we'll still need to prove it. Firstly, the killer wielded a left-handed knife. How does that fit with what we know of Kellogg? He's ambidextrous. Ah, yes, he's ambidextrous, isn't he? Still, his writing sample is very different from the letter we found on Elias' body. Can you explain that? Wait, where was the letter? We found a letter on Elias' body, but it was so brain damaged to be illegible. Still, there's a bit to be gleaned from it. The handwriting was messy, and it certainly wasn't written by Elias. Yes, this is our motive. The killer wasn't able to retrieve it, though I can't say why. But what we can make out looks like it's addressed to an external party, rather than someone from the train. This is likely how our mole was communicating with the bandits. Unfortunately, the rain didn't do him a favor. It's not much use to us now. Gurney Goldman is the sort of fella who'd buy out his enemies rather than kill them. Never met a man richer than this, at least financially. He's not without problems, of course. Wealth is both the source of his power and his ever-present demon. Old Gurney wrote his sample right-handed and is small-footed. His writing sample was neat, but not quite a match for the letter we found. This is the kind of man who gets his hands dirty. But if he had to, he's definitely off of the backstabbing sort. Hard to say how he's involved exactly. Gareth Fairfield was the manservant of the deceased, his butler, if you will. As far as I can tell, the man has been nothing but loyal up till now. But who knows what could have transpired between the two of them. Gareth wrote his sample with his left hand and is of average foot size. We have samples of his writing from his personal belongings, and none match the letter found at the scene. Of course, it's the only fellow who seems distraught that the murder occurred at all. That don't absolve him, but his reaction strikes me as genuine. Look, he's still suspect, as is everyone present. Who ever heard of a butler being responsible for the murder? I played Clueless. What's the recap? Let me know what information you want to review. Phil Peabody is unknown to most members of the train. His preferred hand is unknown. He has an unknown shoe size. Fell asleep around 7. He's right-handed, average shoe size. I don't... I think it's Kellogg. Kellogg. First, the killer wielded a left-handed knife. How does that fit? He's ambidextrous. Still, his writing sample is very different from the letter we found. Can you explain that? He was tired, it was dark, rain smudged it, different writer, fake letter. I don't think that's quite right. Think hard. Look for which clues to try again. We can only guess so many times before we lose all possibility. Don't try to force it. Alright, well then it was Marshall. Well, I suppose he's a suspect, same as the others. His writing sample is right-handed, though. As far as we can tell, the killer's left-handed. How do you figure that? Not right-handed. What do you mean he's not right-handed? I saw him write his sample myself. Do you have evidence to suggest that? Different writer, sample followed, murder weapon, bruise. Oh, I see. Kellogg's bruise was on the right side of his face, and Marshall's was on his left hand. Therefore, when he hit Kellogg, he swung with his left hand. Still, this is much go on. For one, Marshall has small feet. No prints of his size were found in the mud at the crime scene. Can you explain that? Wasn't muddy. Wasn't muddy. How on earth do you think the ground wasn't muddy? Look at it. Oh, shit. It wasn't raining. It wasn't raining at the time Elias was killed. I suppose it could add up. But if it hadn't been rain damage, why'd the killer, Marshall, as you claimed, leave a letter? Wasn't that the whole point of the murder? He was interrupted. See, the killer was interrupted when Kellogg returned, and so didn't have time to retrieve the letter. But why? Why would Marshall kill Elias? I think it's quite right. Oh, damn it. Use a different weapon. Well, damn it, I want to know who killed him! Damn! Guess we'll never know.